Hello and welcome to my guide for selecting equipment for your rogues. I consider rogues to be the most gear-dependent classes in the game, so unfortunately you may not be able to unlock their full potential without getting a few high-level drops first. Rogues are typically high single-target DPS classes with low health, also known in gaming as glass cannons. Rogues utilize passives such as Easy to Miss and Sneak Attack, as well as their ability Stealth to avoid detection and deal massive critical damage when flanking enemies. Their survivability comes from evasion and disabling abilities such as Knockout Bomb and Leaping Shot, as opposed to health and armor bonuses. Due to their already high critical hit chances through the passives Knife in the Shadows and Sneak Attack, we won't be looking to boost this statistic. We will, however, be looking at increasing critical damage through Dexterity to maximise the damage output of our rogues, as well as increasing survivability through raw damage. Remember, you can't be killed by something if it's already dead. With all my rogues, I try and offset their low health values with at least one heal on kill ring. You shouldn't be getting hit a lot, but a few stray arrows can floor you if you aren't careful. If you don't have a constant healing through kills, you may find yourself treading on very thin ice by the end of the zone. The Assassin and the Alchemist will benefit most from the Ring of Critical Damage as their second ring. With the passives I Was Never Here, Sneak Attack, and Knife in the Shadows, you will be critical hitting almost 100% of the time, so it's best to use the Critical Damage ring, which grants up to 20% additional critical hit damage to maximise the damage you'll be dealing overall. The Hunter will find the Ring of Flanking particularly useful since you will almost always be attacking from the flanks, assuming you choose a stealth build of course. Unfortunately, the Hunter doesn't have the passives I Was Never Here or Sneak Attack, so it will not be hitting nearly as many critical hits as his dual dagger counterparts. If you don't have the Ring of Flanking, then a Ring of Attack would be a good alternative. The Archer is the only character I actually recommend an ability ring as a first choice. The Long Shot ring is surprisingly good on him. It grants 30% extra damage per hit, and given the upgraded version can hit multiple targets for high damage, the 30% gain can often result in multi-kills from a single shot. Archers have a unique passive which grants 0.5 cooldown reduction per critical hit that is scored by anybody in your party, so the Ring of Critical Chance is a good alternative here, though you do have the passives and Take Them Down and Mercy Killing, so critical hits aren't exactly hard to come by. The Amulet of Stamina is the best choice for archers and hunters using full draw, especially when using the double full draw. The double full draw will usually drain all of your stamina due to its 65 stamina cost, meaning you can't follow up that quickly with a second ability. I'll link a tutorial for the double full draw for those who don't know what it is. Assassins with Deathblow will also benefit from the Amulet of Stamina. Deathblow doesn't trigger the Dance of Death passive that restores 50 stamina whenever you kill an enemy, and it's also bugged and can occasionally consume all 100 stamina, so this often leaves you high and dry when chaining abilities together. Alchemists with the upgraded version of Elemental Mines will gain 10 extra mines when using the Amulet of Stamina. This is very useful, as I'm sure you can imagine, so it's worth noting. Another great option for all rogues is the Amulet of Cooldown, as rogues yield their huge damage outputs from their abilities. Having these off cooldown as often as possible will always be desirable in all situations. Alchemists using Flask of Fire will also find this amulet particularly useful, as it's a core ability that the rest of the kit is usually built around. Assassins using Hidden Blades will also enjoy the faster cooldown on what is usually a guaranteed instant kill on most enemies. If you don't have any of these amulets, then the Amulet of Dexterity or Cunning are good alternatives. Since rogues are relatively glassy characters, I recommend equipping a Belt of Health to absorb the additional arrow or two. The Belt of Fire Resistance is surprisingly useful as well, as fire attacks from Rage Demons, Wraiths, Spellbinders, Mages and the Venatori Commander can be devastating to a rogue. Weapon upgrades should prioritise critical damage, dexterity and constitution, in that order. For the bows, the best choice is the Rugged Bow Grip, since the metal slot can grant you a bonus to constitution and the leather slots will grant you more dexterity. For the daggers, I recommend the 3-edged dagger grip, as the leather slots can grant you both extra dexterity and increased critical damage. I recommend using the highest material tier in order to maximise your bonuses. For armour upgrades, you'll want to choose the highest cunning upgrades possible. Ranged defense and magic defense upgrades are good alternatives to this as well. On to weapons. I'll split this into two sections, bows and daggers. I'll start with the bows. For the archer, the best choice would either be Punched by the Maker or the Longbow of the Griffin. Punched by the Maker gives you an increased critical chance and has a 10% chance to proc Walking Bomb for 5 seconds. The Longbow of the Griffin technically has the highest base damage among the bows due to its special effect of firing 3 shots in a cone. If all 3 shots connect, you will get 3 shots hitting at the 150 base damage each. However, the archer generally suits a more long-range playstyle, so the increased critical damage from Punch by the Maker makes it a superior choice. On the flip side, Longbow of the Griffin is a lot better suited to the hunter, as the more close quarters combat playstyle of this class enables the 3 shots to connect with a single target when in melee range, or multiple targets when firing at a group. Another excellent choice would be the Trapana's Requital, because of its unique Explode on Kill ability. When combining this bow with a cloaked full draw, you can eliminate multiple enemies in a single shot, as the explosion damage is calculated by the damage of the killing blow, meaning if your full draw hits for say 8,000 damage, which is perfectly reasonable and achievable, the resulting explosion will deal 6,000 damage to each enemy close by. If you don't have any of these uniques, there are several rare and common bows that you can use. Assuming that your bow has over, say, 130 base damage, you should be able to get enough stopping power to trivialize threatening and even dip into perilous. Let's move on to daggers. If you want to shit out an obscene amount of damage with the assassin, you will need 2 high-level unique daggers. You can manage perfectly fine with anything over 100 base damage though, so do keep that in mind. The Blade of Redbirth boasts the highest DPS in the game with 445 when slotted with a superb rune. Agony comes a close second and has a monstrous 31% critical damage bonus, while the Wicked Grace Dagger has a slightly less monstrous 14%. All 3 of these daggers are the highest damage weapons the assassin can use, so if you have 2 of these, congratulations you lucky shit. If you only have 1, then make sure you place it in your main hand, which is the left slot when in the inventory screen. The Alchemist can manage with slightly lower level daggers. She will benefit from daggers with unique traits more than raw DPS, especially when using elemental mines. Each mine detonated counts as a hit, so when you're blowing up mines like a popcorn machine, each mine counts as an independent hit. You can often get multiple procs of your special ability this way, especially when you use elemental mines in conjunction with Flask of Fire. One other nice trick is to use Lady Yocasta's Revenge. This dagger has a heal on hit ability, meaning if you die with mines active, it only takes a single enemy to walk over one to self-revive. One last point before I wrap up. I have had a few users asking me if AoE daggers are worth it. Short answer, no. Long answer, no. The AoE is very small and just not worth the damage cut in my opinion. The animations are pretty nice though, so the only reason you should ever use them is either to appreciate the fact that someone actually coded these animations in, or if you have no other dagger with higher base damage. This concludes my rogue equipment guide. I have a few projects I'm working on at the moment, so you may not see my mage guide for another couple of weeks, but rest assured it's being made. Thanks for watching, goodbye.